to this day, there's no fish that I've caught that'll ever beat that bonefish. The way we did it, the way how long it took us, nothing will ever beat that fish. I don't care. It can't happen.
It was interesting because Mark Richens was talking about last night. He said he doesn't want to reveal any of your secrets, but you kind of revealed that secret a little bit ago about patterning fish. And he was saying that, one of these big bonefish that you guys caught in that tournament, the Spring Bonefish Tournament, where you were talking about, okay, they're going to come around here, put your fly in, just wait. It was like waiting for the sun to rise.
Felt like it was forever. Yeah, no, I remember this. So this fish will always be in the back of my mind when I bonefish, and giving up these. It's not secrets. I mean, it is. It's just a different style. Like, this is not the way to do it. I never say this is how you do it. This is what I have confidence in. This is what works for me. There are many other guides, winning guides, Timmy and Craig, and Timmy's won more falls than anybody, and he has a complete different technique from me, complete different fly, the different way you strip. That doesn't mean so what I'm giving up. You still got to go do it, and it's not as easy as you think. Oh, like people can be like, oh, you just throw it way up in front of them and watch it. No. It's you got to know what you're doing to do it. Angler and guide, and be on the same page. And so this fish that Mark and I were fishing, it's pulling like 20 miles an hour, which is always the favorite time to bonefish. It's the middle of the day, 1 o'clock, and I found this zone that they were tailing in the middle of the day in 20 knot winds, just pairs, singles, school of four.
That's a contrast in words right there. Middle of the day.
Middle of the
tailing.
Day. Tailing. Like, not just, I saw a tail, like doing their thing. And, I'm pulling it to south wind. I remember, like it was yesterday, and the way the flat was set up is that I was stalking these fish. I'm like, I already know, okay, these fish are in a foot of water. They're the biggest thing. That's like the hardest of the hardest thing to do. They're so on edge. I'm not getting close to those. You cannot get close to them. You cannot throw that fly close. I don't feel confident in that way. And so we watched them, and it took me 45 minutes to get this shot out, right? 45 minutes.
45 minutes to get the shot.
For one fish.
To make the cast.
We would make casts that I'm predicting where they're going to go. And then they're off 7-8 feet, and you would just wait, and you couldn't slide it away. You had to wait till they just left, bring it up, and then we'd do it again. And I bet you we did 7 different times of that till they trapped themselves, and they're going into this little kind of
box canyon.
Yeah, little back cove where I know they're not going to cross that. Right. They're not going to get in 4 inches of water to cross. And so I remember Mark, it's a little overcast, hard to see, and I just leave them, and I'm pulling this way, and he goes, Jared, they're over here. I'm like, Mark, I know they're there. I know where they're at, And he always had them. That's why him and I always fish well together, is that we were so in tune and sync. If I told him to pick it up and the tarpon's about to eat it, he would pick it up because he knows there was something else that I want him to do, and he listened well, and he's a phenomenal angler. But he was like, what are you, like, we've been tracking these things for 30 minutes. What are you doing? You don't leave them. And I'm like, Mark. So I got to get about 150 feet over here. I'm just huffing into the wind as hard as I could. And I get the boat. I make it a perfect downwind shot, 11 o'clock. And I said, Mark, see that mangrove shoot? I said, I want you to throw it our side of it 4 feet. I said, I don't want you to throw it past it, because if you hook him up, he's going to run through that way and you can break him off. I said, 4 feet, see a little white hole? That's where I want it. And so he's sitting there playing with it till it finally got there. I said, no, you don't move that. Don't move it, because where the fish are, I'm like, they're going to come. They're going to come.
Meanwhile, you can't even see the fish.
I could barely see the
You
muds.
can, but Mark cannot.
No. And I see them coming. I said, Mark, they're coming. Just wait. And it felt like an hour, but it was like 2.5 minutes. Fly sitting in the water, us, and I said, do not jump the gun when I tell you. Not aggressive bump, just give me a little bump. And he's, all right, Jared, all right. And we're so excited. And I'm like, all right, okay.
And now you're focused on where the fly is,
I
landed?
don't take my eyes off where it is. I'm just watching.
You know where that fly is.
I'm waiting for the fish to come in my view, and here they come. And it's like perfect. There's 3 of them, and they're all spread out perfectly. And they're coming right by the stick. So I'm like, okay, next little white hole. And I said, when they got from maybe Nikki to Iowa, I'm like, little bump. And I just saw this one go. And I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, all right, bump. And that thing just goes. And this tail, I mean, it looked If it was 12 inches, it was 48. It was this big. And that thing popped up and I go long strip and it just went straight. And that thing, as soon as it went tight, he made a great hook set. That thing did 4,000 figure eights. We were not tight to that fish for the first minute and a half of fighting him. He would go this way, that way, this way. And now we're in shallow water and I'm where we're at the bottom so soft. So you're trying to push hard, but it's actually the worst thing to do, because you're putting the pole down and then you're pulling it back out. I'm hyperventilating. My heart's beating so fast and I'm pushing as fast as I can. Well, now the line's all the way here, but the fish is all the way back over here.
You get a big belly.
And I go, back off that drag. Let it loose. This can go. I said, you have so much. And that fish at this point, we know that there was no fight. He did it all in the first minute and a half. And that fish is just doing this. Kicking, but not moving an inch. I'm like, he's going to break off. He's going to break off. I'm like trying to get up just to get, and the line's coming. And we went right over to it. And I just got the dip net. I freaking run to the bow and I net it and it turned sideways and we're like, boom, baby! Oh, you could have heard us. You could have heard us in Key West. Right? You were like, we were losing our mind. And we net this thing and I go, that's 16 pounds. And I can't even breathe. But all I want to do is give the respect to the fish. I go, let's measure this thing real quick. Pictures. I got one picture of Mark holding. I had to. His eyeball looks like the size of this microphone. And I said, okay, let's get this thing going. I pulled out, idled off the flat, and I had him in the live well, and I brought him, and I wanted that fish to make sure it was going to, and I took the time. It took us about 10 minutes. We took our time with that fish.
Good for you.
That's by far the coolest fish I've ever gotten.
Is that the best tournament you've won?